I just kind of wrote this presentation just now, so bear with me, but I think it's got this in it. And yeah, so I've kind of done a couple of these talks now about what it was like running the MOOC, so I've kind of combined them and tried and added a bit of our some of our ideas about how we're going to proceed now we've done it. So I'll try and take a timeline of what happened during our MOOC and kind of peg all the important things onto that, so you get an idea of how long it took and when things happened. I'll talk a bit about our assessment model. So we did use peer assessment, which was kind of hard work, but quite good. But I'll tell you more detail on that. Got some high-level statistics, and then I'm going to talk about some of the stuff that students made, just to show that it was kind of fun for them, that they did good work. And we've got some ideas about how we want to analyse the data set we already have, but also I'll talk about a project that we're working on that we're going to use when we run the MOOC for the next time, where we're going to again reapply those data analysis methods. So I'll talk about those because I think they're quite interesting. You get these huge numbers and you think, wow, I can do some proper stats on this, say some stuff that's interesting. So I'll tell you what that stuff that we might want to say is. As I say, I mentioned this platform that we're going to use next time. I've got a video here just to show you. This is the plugin. Is there any audio? No, it's not that important.
No.
No? Let's see how loud it is on my speakers.
Hi, welcome to lesson 1 of Creative Programming for Digital Media and Mobile Apps. I'm Nick, and this is Matt and Marco, and we're going to take you through 6 individual lessons, starting with this week, which is all about the basics of drawing and the basics of sound. So, first of all, we need to know how to manipulate graphics and draw them to the screen. And we also need to know how images are represented on the screen. Marco's going to take you through that, and he's also going to give you an introduction on how to use processing for making desktop applications. Matt's going to take you through how to control sound and how to find and play back sounds from the internet. He's also going to talk a little bit about manipulating sound and how sound is represented in the computer. In addition, he's going to show you a little bit about how to run applications that we develop on Android phones. And then I'm going to take you through the basics of using Apple devices. And after that, I'm going to show you how to make a basic app with simple interactions like mouse and touch interaction that plays back different sounds in different ways and also changes the way that certain types of images are drawn. So that's really what this lesson is about. It's kind of easing you in to the whole idea of making creative applications. And if you've got any questions, you can check the forums. We'll be looking out for any of you who have particular issues. It's always a bit difficult getting started running software for the first time. So we've got a whole load of examples that you can download from the Coursera website. We're going to be referring to them throughout the next 6 weeks, starting this week. So make sure that before you ask questions, you have a look on the documentation that we've put on the website. There's a lot there. There are also people who are going to be on the forums expecting you to ask good, relevant questions, and hopefully, if you are stuck, So I think we're going to start off with Marco, who's going to do some graphics, and then move on to Matt, and I'll be seeing you later on.
Okay, I was just showing you that because that was our very first video that they saw, and that tells you the kind of stuff we were doing. And it also, just going to listen to it now, we knew that the forums were going to be hard work, as you can tell. People in the forums, don't worry. Don't just post in there, be careful. We basically knew the forums were going to be hard work. More on that in a second. What have we got? These types of slides. Okay, so this must be 2012, right? So September 2012, asked to do it, agreed. October, what's a MOOC anyway? We just agreed to. Had some idea. But yeah, that's when it starts, by the way. It's like a wall that we're going to smash into. And yeah, planning. So we were quite careful about our planning. So we started early on. As you saw, it was a 3-person team delivering it, and we really wanted to have we made a bespoke course as well, because it was a 6-week course, and we couldn't really think of an easy way to just rip one of our existing courses and do that. So we made a new course, and it was quite ambitious as well. We decided we would try and show people how to make not just any old apps that could check the weather or something, but apps which would do highly interactive, quality graphics and sound. And in order to do it, we had to write layers of software. So we were also, as well as testing our materials, we were testing that software. So it was quite difficult for us to do that. So yeah, we were quite ambitious, but we wanted to have a high impact course that lots of people would be interested in. So we set the aim high. So yeah, we ended up with this 6-week course. We started producing the code examples a few months before, so that's when we really started developing our libraries and so on. Because being a programming course, you've got to provide people with examples of programs, and they kind of have to be, if you like, really nice examples that do something that's, on one hand, has an impact, so people think, oh wow, I'd really like to know how to do that. But on the other hand, it has to be quite carefully written, so it's not too complex, and it's not too, these are general things, sort of teaching anything, I guess, but there's a very specific kind of technical element to it when it's programming. Okay, so that was quite a lot of hard work. That's just a video showing the kind of stuff they might do in the first week. This would have been running on a mobile device, an iPad or an Android phone, and written in, that much code about. So not much code. So we were really aiming to get cool stuff happening on mobile devices in not much code. And okay, so we started preparing the lectures. Yeah, there's quite a lot of lectures yet to make, isn't it? Yeah. Filming, I think, happened next. So you can see we're getting pretty close to the deadline now. We actually filmed, just a few weeks before we started running it, and we didn't have a lot of turnaround time, and we put quite a lot of pressure on the film company, I think, because they were doing all the other ones as well from the University of London. I think they had quite a high level of stress because of this. We were quite kind of demanding. We wanted it to be in a certain way because, just an example, if you look at this. Right, so you saw some code appeared on the screen there. Now, the problem was the film company didn't realise that the code needed to appear on the screen like that in order to be readable. They thought that it was okay to just have an over-the-shoulder shot. So they kind of made all the videos like that. So when there was code on the screen, you could sort of see a blurry version of the code. But of course, people need to be able to see it, and read it, and write and copy it. So that kind of thing was quite problematic, and that requires quite a lot of re-editing. So we had quite a few problems around that. So it was quite stressful, this period here. Then we had the review, which is when you basically, Barney arranged that we would have 2 weeks of material up and ready. Firstly for Coursera, but also for review by some sort of expert tutors within the University of London. And they had a good look at what we were doing and how we were doing it, and gave us some feedback so we could kind of make a few modifications. They said it looked pretty good actually, so we didn't have to change much. That's when we had the 2 weeks up. So I think actually the review was based on 1 week. And then the sort of week before we launched our first set of lectures, the platform, the sort of software development tool we were using, they released a new version that broke all of the code on the entire course, which had been typed in and filmed and edited, and it couldn't change it basically. So that was fun. We did sort of tell them we were going to run the course with their platform and give them loads of people, users. Processing is a sort of programming environment developed by MIT. which is originally aimed for artists, but it's starting to be used just for normal computing courses now. It's really getting big. So they were quite happy that we were using it. But yeah, they released this thing, and it meant that we suddenly had to make a couple of extra videos, 2 days before we were launching, and we also knew that this was suddenly a really high resistance wire, if I can steal your analogy, had been placed right in there, so there'd be sort of grinding through this thing, having all these extra fiddly things to set up. For example, one of the key things of the course is being able to run things on your phone really easily, and then the version before, you hit play, or you put it on Android mode, you hit play, it works. With this one, you have to do all kinds of stuff to get it to work, which we hadn't put in video. So it was, that was quite unpleasant. Okay, so forum panic. So that kind of partly caused by that. Also, we kind of realised that people, the tool chain was actually quite difficult to set up. We've set it up quite a lot of times, and we're kind of used to it, but some of the tool chain they needed to do this was actually quite difficult. And the problem is we didn't have any control over that tool chain. Some of it was made by Google, so it's just whatever Google give you, whatever documents Google give you, we can kind of help you a bit with that. But pretty much, you have to go and read the documents and sort of and learn it. And people were not that happy about doing that. They wanted to just press play and be able to do something really quite difficult very easily. So we had a lot of people in the forums. Yeah, here's the thing that this is one of the posts that came up. You can see it's been upranked 119 times entirely because of the new release a few days before. So yeah. Okay, yeah, again, that's the over-the-shoulder code video example. Right, so you can't read that code, but they didn't realise that. So, okay, so now we had preempted that these forums were going to be hard work, so and a really important point of contention for the success of the course. So we had 2 students, undergrads actually, one postgrad, several undergrads. And we kind of organised them so that there were at least 2 of them on duty, 9 to 5, UK time, 5 days a week. And we made it clear to the people taking the course that that's what's going to happen. So there were people manning forums, manning and womaning the forums, and you can see that where it says staff replied, that's a post where we have replied to it. So we were aiming to really try and be responsive. Responsiveness is something that makes or breaks one of these courses. I think some of the work that you guys are doing is great. I love the idea of telling them how you've responded, because it can get lost in the churn in the forums. You might be answering all this stuff, but it just drifts down the page, and people think, oh, they're not doing anything, and they'll tell you that loudly on the forum, and then they'll get answered, and then that will go as well, and it's not fair, basically. So it's a really good solution to say, hey guys, we've done this. And if anyone posts on the forum saying you haven't done something, you just can point them at that page and say, there you go, we did it, so go away. And then your answer will get upranked. Yeah. Forums. Peer assessment started, about halfway through the course. And so we did 2 peer assessments. They were very simple. We really wanted to see how it worked. We didn't want to make it really difficult, but we were quite interested to try it out. This idea of us not having to do any marking, because we had 97,000 people enrolled on our course, 36,000 logged in the first week. I think it went down to 6,000. We've got to think about that some more. There it is. Yeah, like that. Going back. Sorry. Yeah, peer assessment. So. These are a bit jumbled up actually, sorry. Let me just skip to the peer assessment. Yeah, so it looks like that. So you have a sort of 3-phase thing. So they submit their work, and then they have to evaluate each other's work, and then they get the results. People who don't evaluate anyone else don't get any results, so you kind of have to do it. But the problem is it has to be sort of strictly timetabled. So you have to say, right, now you're only allowed to evaluate in this period. And we had people saying, oh, I'm on holiday, can I just do it next week? And that's okay, but not if you've got 36,000 people who are going to post in the forum saying, that's not fair. So we didn't want to do that. You can do it with, on campus with 100 students. You can mess around with deadlines quite a lot and get away with it, but not with these numbers. So you have to be careful. So we were kind of strict, but not that strict actually. We did extend the final one quite a lot, just because there's no point in. We don't really care about the validity of the assessment in a way. We just wanted people to get their work handed in, and we were more interested in completion. So we kind of said, okay, you can have another 2 weeks. We don't mind at the end. Yeah. So. Peer assessment, I think we just did, I've got the form there. Yeah, that's it. Oh no, that's multiple choice. Sorry about that. No, I haven't got the example before, but basically you just have to post, when you're submitting your work, you have to post a link to your work, which would be some code for your app, plus a video of the app running, perhaps a description of it, and then you would have to, when you're evaluating, I think you just have to give it a good, amazing, good or bad, or something like that. Three grades we set, and it's dead easy, and then a bit of feedback. So we left it quite open, but just to see what the dynamics were really, which I can't answer. Question of what are the dynamics, I'm not sure yet, but we haven't looked at the data enough. So these are the other types of assessment. So we had in-video quizzes and weekly automatic quizzes. So you can place timed quizzes in the video, so the video stops and you have to answer a question before you can carry on watching. So there's lots of opportunities for dropping in assessment there and getting down data about what they're up to. And the weekly assessment was a bigger quiz, and that was really hard as well because you slightly phrase a question in a mildly ambiguous way, and people get angry and they post on the forums. And again, responsiveness is important there, but we kind of didn't even agree with them half the time. It's like, well, we don't think that is ambiguous, and other people would back us up on the forums, but you'd still have these people posting. And that's when we started finding the button you found, called the spam button, to hide it from everyone except for the person who's posted it button. Really useful for that, because you can argue with them a bit, but it takes too much time, and it's a kind of public argument going on, and that's not helping anyone learn. It's just a stupid argument. Like the internet is full of those already, so let's not make any more spam. Because we realised, this is not a community project. This is a course which we've chosen to create and deliver, and if activity within that course, which arguably is reflecting upon our institution, is not desirable, then we don't want that. So we locked it down in that way. Right, so your assessment, calming down everybody, and the end. And I think at this point, somebody whose 8-year-old boy who had done the course or something, who'd been ill and went on holiday, couldn't quite get his assessment in, so we extended the deadline for him. I know there were a few hundred others. People uprank things. We put posts, we said, uprank this post if you want to have an extension. So we did that thing democratically. Not really. Okay, so grading, you can see that big gap there, that's because we have to extend the deadline. Get data, blended learning. So that's there because we had some people who wanted to use our stuff in their course. We haven't done the data analysis yet. This is some stuff that Barney's produced. Barney managed all of the URL MOOCs, and okay. This is the globe. These are for the whole of Coursera. Where are they? Yeah. So you didn't have that many in the UK, or no? So that's a sort of variation between the right. Lots of bachelors, quite a lot of masters, quite a few PhDs. I can put these slides somewhere if you want to look at them. Okay, so this is kind of triumphant. Really, someone did something good with our course. No coding experience, game on the App Store around 12 weeks. I don't know if they're now a millionaire. Tell or not, but
you made it happen.
yeah, but it was, yeah. here's some sort of videos of some of the work that people did. You can see it's quite strong visually, and it's sort of an interactive kind of game thing. This was a nice kind of visualization of music that you could interact with and move things around. This is that was pretty cool. So we made it. There was a physics engine in there as well that we had to again put a layer on top to make it easier. So we gave them a bunch of really strong tools, but tried to make them really simple to use. And I think that led to some interesting work being made. So, okay, so that's what happened. Now we're looking next to. So we're looking at metrics for peer learning. We're really interested in this connectionist thing of what's going on between peers, and because there's a project which I'm actually my main job now is working on a project called the Praise Project, which is aiming to create a social network for people learning music. And as part of that, we have to evaluate the network and see what kind of learning is going on. And so we're developing some metrics which can also be applied to the Coursera data. So they're quite nice. They give you a big dump of the data. It's a massive, complicated database. But we want to look at what goes on in there. So, for example, I guess what we've come up with here is interesting behaviours or desired behaviours that you might see in this kind of social learning platform where people are helping each other learn. And so some basic things like you need a community, but then you might need an active community, and on the right it's telling you how you might measure those things. So we're also looking at knowledge and peers being in the community. So evidence of knowledge might be that information that gets posted gets rated, right? So if a piece of information, someone upranks it, maybe that's a valuable piece of information. And then does information or knowledge spread around? So that's kind of more difficult, but the idea that people might ask a question on a topic and then later on answer someone else's question on that topic. We did see that going on, but we haven't done the proper automatic analysis yet. And then is there a reward system? Do people gain rewards for doing these peer learning activities? So in Coursera you have upranking of posts in the forum, for example. And also you get peer learning, you get credit towards the final mark if you do the peer learning. Also this idea of support. So do people support people who are active? So do people give information? Do they provide this kind of rewards? Then it gets more complicated. So this idea that you're looking at chains of activity and trying to predict what things might happen. So if someone answers a question, do they later ask a question which implies they've got more information on the same topic? So looking at quite difficult things to measure like that. And there are other data sets we're looking at as well. So there's a website called Stack Exchange that has a set of communities of people sharing information. And they have an open data set that's big, and loads of people asking questions and ranking questions. So it's it's an interesting thing to look at, and the sort of research topic is kind of, and also a commercial enterprise is learning analytics. So you've probably heard of web analytics, and you've probably heard of learning analytics. I don't know, but really trying to pull meaningful information out of learning activity data. Okay, so that's what we're looking at doing this in the first half of this year. And when we run our MOOC next time, we're intending to use this platform which we've developed within our project called the Music Circle platform. I'm not sure how much time I have.
You're kind of running out of time.
I'm kind of running out of time. Okay, it's good because this is my really last slide. So it kind of looks like this. If you've seen SoundCloud, it's kind of similar, but it has better features for discussion, for more specific discussion and feedback. So we're going to actually use our platform within our MOOC, so we can really generate some nice data on our platform to see if we're able to. So how would we use this? Well, you saw that there were sort of audio-visual apps that people are creating, which have graphics and sound and interaction, and also some code. So the idea is that they'll post a video up, and then people will discuss it and put comments on it, and that will be the activity. We'll see how that goes. Right, that was my last slide. Yeah, so That's it really. So just sum up. So this is what we talked about. So the timeline, the assessment, some high-level stats, some examples of work, how we're thinking about analysing this stuff to really get some nice research output from it, because we need that, and it's interesting, and which platform we're thinking of embedding in for next time.